Dr. Pinero, I must apologize for the outburst from my colleagues. I want you to finish your remarks, but nevertheless, I must ask you to refrain from affronting our intelligence with any ideas that any educated man knows to be fallacious.
How can I possibly put a new idea into your heads if I do not first remove your delusions?
Dr. Pinero, must I remind you that you are not a member of this body, and that we did not invite
I
you
seem to recall getting an invitation.
from one of our trustees. Not a scientist, and not a member of this academy.
Which trustee? Is old Bidwell of Amalgamated Life Insurance trying to discredit me by sending in his trained SEALs? He sent jackals to tear down a lion.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Van Reinschmidt has the floor.
Mr. Chairman, fellow members of the Academy of Science, should we not show tolerance? After all, a murderer has his right to say his say before the state passes its sentence. Should we do any less, even if we may already intellectually know the verdict? Now, I grant Dr. Pinero here the same consideration as I would grant any other unaffiliated colleague, even if we are not familiar with the university that bestowed his degree. And I believe we should do so with dignity and decorum.
Will you continue, Dr. Pinero?
Why should I?
Because that's why you came.
Was it wise to come? Is there anyone here who can stare a bare fact in the face and not blush? Even the gentleman who asked you to hear me out seeks only order, not truth. I will repeat my discovery in simple language. I have invented a technique to determine how long a man has to live, down to the hour and minute of his death.
You haven't finished, Dr. Pinero.
What more is there to say?
You haven't told us how your discovery works.
You would have me turn over the fruits of my work for children to play
How are we
with?
to know that you have anything to back up your wild
It's
claims?
simple. You send a committee to watch me demonstrate. If it works, fine. You admit it and tell the world so. If not, I'll be discredited and apologize.
Dr. Baird, how can you let him suggest such a course? What does he expect us to wait 20 or 30 years for someone to
At
die?
least one person will die in the immediate future.
Mr. Chairman, I object. I cannot condone these experiments.
Dr. Shepard is right. Why waste time with voodoo tricks? I move, Mr. Chairman, that we proceed with regular business.
Here, here.
Men like you have blocked the recognition of every great discovery since time began.
Hey, these tables are new. You'll
That
ruin
fat
them.
fool calls himself a medical man. Witch doctor is a better term. And that little runt over there, you, who style yourself a philosopher, prate about life and time in your neat categories. What do you know of either? And how will you learn if you won't listen? You call this an Academy of Science? I call it an Undertaker's Convention, interested in embalming the ideas of your red-blooded predecessors. Nothing more.
Dr. Pinero. Lay it on the line for me, Doc. Have you got something for me, or haven't you?
You heard me back there. I have most assuredly got something, my young friend.
Okay, well, tell me how it works. Because that guff you handed the professors back there is not gonna get you anywhere.
Listen, this is my invention. I intend to make money with it. Would you have me give it away to the first person who asks?
No, but you gotta give me something. Like, what do you use, a crystal ball?
If you'd like to see, come by my apartment and I'll show you. Bring your friends.
Okay, well now we're getting somewhere.
Right there, fellas.
how does this thing work?
No doubt you are familiar with the truism that life is electrical in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not worth a damn. But it will give you an idea of the principle. You've also likely been told that time is a fourth dimension. In fact, it's been said so many times it's become a cliche windbags used to impress fools. But I want you to visualize it now and to feel it. Take you, for example. You are a space-time event having duration 4 ways. You are a bit less than 6 feet tall, perhaps 20 inches wide, maybe 10 thick. Those are your measurements in 3 dimensions. But in time, there stretches behind you more of this space-time event, reaching to perhaps 1915, of which we see a cross-section at a right angle to the time axis, and as thick as the present. At one end is a baby, smelling of sour milk and drooling its breakfast onto its bib. At the other end, perhaps, is an old man somewhere in the 1980s. Imagine this space-time event that is you as a long pink worm, continuous through the years. It stretches past us here in 1939, so that the cross-section that we see appears as a single discrete individual. But that is illusion, for there is physical continuity to this pink worm that stretches through the years. In fact, in this manner, there is physical continuity to the entire human race. In this concept, the entire human race is a vine whose branches intertwine and send out shootlets. When we only see the present, only a cross-section of this vine, we fall into the error of believing that each individual shootlet is a discrete individual.
That's great, but where does that get you?
Well, I asked you to think of our long pink worm as a conductor of electricity. Now perhaps you've heard an electrical engineer can, by taking certain measurements, determine exactly where the break occurs in a transatlantic cable. And the electrical engineer can do so without ever leaving the shore. I do the same with our pink worms. By applying my instruments to the cross-section in this room, I can determine where the break occurs. That is to say, where death happens. Or I could reverse the connections and determine when you were born. But that's less interesting. You already know that.
Hold on. If humanity's like that, then you can't tell birthdays, because the beginning of my pink worm goes into my mom's pink worm, and her worm goes into her mom's.
It's an analogy. You're taking it too far.
Alright, let's see you prove it.
Certainly, my friend. Would you be a subject?
Called your bluff, Luke. Put up or shut up.
Alright, what do I have to do?
Put this probe in your mouth, and don't touch anything. Write down your birth date and give it to your friend. I've got February 22nd, 1912. What does yours say?
February 1912.
You sure you don't want another drink?
Look, I was an orphan, so I never really knew the exact date. Let's see you predict death.
Well, I think you have enough for a story, don't you?
Come on, when does Luke get his 30?
Yeah, how about it?
Friends, I give that information at a fee.
Well, guys, it's a hoax. He's a fraudster. Let's get out of here. Thanks for the drinks.
Are you married, my friend?
No.
Do you have anyone dependent on you?
No.
Any close relatives?
No, what are you trying to adopt me or something?
I'm sorry, Luke. You die before tomorrow.
Yeah, get out of here, old man.
Come on, Luke, you scared?
Just a little, I'm just a little bit, just a little lonely, only for you. On nights like this, I sit alone, try to find my way back home, and to you my thoughts do roam. I lose my smile just for
Let us return to our subject. As it stands, I will not grant your request for a permanent restraining order, and in turn, I order your client to cease from interfering with what Dr. Pinero describes as a simple, lawful business.
May it please the Honorable Court, I represent the
Mr.
public.
Weems, as you are not addressing a jury, please omit the rhetoric and just tell me in plain language why I should grant your request.
I am, Your Honor. We feel we protect the interests of the entire population, unorganized, inarticulate, and otherwise unprotected.
And here I thought that was my job.
Your Honor, this person is engaged in the practice of soothsaying. He makes false claims of modern scientific methods to give a spurious dignity to the thaumaturge. Your Honor, we have here in court a leading representative from the Academy of Science who is prepared to give expert witness as to the absurdity of his claims. In the second place, even if this person's claims were true, we contend they are contrary to the interests of the public in general, and they are unlawfully injurious to the interest of my client in particular.
Your Honor, may I say a few words?
What is it?
I believe I can simplify matters if permitted to make a brief analysis.
Your Honor, this is highly irregular.
Mr. Weems, if Dr. Pinero can shorten these proceedings by speaking at this time, I'm inclined to do it. Assuming that he understands he's acting as his own attorney,
I understand, Your Honor.
then you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I will stipulate that many of my clients have canceled their life insurance policies. The Amalgamated has lost business due to my activities, but that is a natural result of the nature of my discovery, which has rendered their policies as obsolete as the bow and arrow. I admit, it matters whether I can do what I say, but he knows nothing of my method. How could he possibly give a truly expert opinion thereon?
Just a moment, Doctor. Mr. Weems, is it true that your expert witness is not conversant with Dr. Pinero's theory and method?
Your Honor, will the court grant me a moment's indulgence?
Certainly.
Get it taken care of.
Your Honor, we have a suggestion. If Dr. Pinero will take the stand and testify as to the theory and practice of his alleged method, then our distinguished scientist will be able to advise the court as to the validity of his claims.
I will not agree to that. It would be dangerous to allow my discovery to fall into the hands of quacks and fools.
Dr. Pinero, please.
It does not matter whether or not my method is understood. It can be proved regardless. Is it necessary to understand the complex miracle of biological reproduction in order to watch a hen lay eggs? There are but two methods of forming an opinion in science. One may form an opinion based on experiment, or one may blindly accept authority. To the scientific mind, experimental proof is all important, and theory is merely a convenience in description to be jettisoned when it no longer fits. To the academic, authority is everything. I propose to prove my method by experiment. Let me read the life length of each member of the Academy of Science. I will seal my findings in a set of envelopes. On the outside of each envelope will be the name of a member. On the inside, the date of their death. Allow the committee to lock these envelopes in a vault, and only open them from time to time to check whether my prediction was correct. If the actuaries from Amalgamated can be trusted, there should be a death every week or two. Data will accumulate quickly to prove whether I am a liar or not.
Well, do you accept?
Your Honor, this is highly irregular.
I warn you that I shall rule against you if you do not accept or propose an equally reasonable method of arriving at the truth.
Your Honor, will you grant me another moment's indulgence?
Certainly.
We've got to get going with this. All right. Hey, we have no other choice. We have to go with this. Do it. Do it.
We accept, Your Honor.
Very well. Arrange the details between you. Temporary injunction is lifted, pending accumulation of evidence. And before we leave this matter, I would like to comment on a theory implied by you, Mr. Weems. There are beliefs of certain groups in this country that have the notion that because someone profited off of the public for so many years, that the government and the courts are charged with guaranteeing profit in the future, even in the face of changing circumstances and contrary to public interest. This strange doctrine is not supported by statute or common law. Neither individual nor corporation has any right to come into court and demand that the clocks of history be stopped or turned back.
Greetings, radio audience. Let's go to press. Flash, Dr. Hugo Pinero, the miracle man from nowhere, has just made his 1,000th death prediction without anyone claiming the reward he offered to the first person who catches him failing to call the turn. With 13 of his clients already dead, it is mathematically certain that he has a private line to the old man with the scythe.
Weems, if you can't think of anything better than that, we're going to need a new chief attorney. We've been losing money hand over fist since you lost that injunction.
I assure you we will figure something out, sir.
When? It's been 2 months. I don't know that Amalgamated can last that long. People all over this nation are losing money.
Mr. Bidwell, can't we wait until the scientists show him up?
Weems, you idiot, the scientists aren't going to show him up. Can't you face the facts? Pinero has something.
Mr. Bidwell, I trust you will consult with me before embarking on any major change in policy.
Get out. I'll handle this myself. Miss Braca, send him in.
Mrs. Hartley, the doctor will see you now.
Come in, have a seat. So what brings you to my establishment?
Well, you see, I'm Betty Hartley, and my husband and I were expecting a child. But, he died in an accident at the plant a couple of weeks ago.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I just want to know before I have the baby.
I think I understand. The procedure is fairly simple, and it won't take but a minute. Take this probe and place it in your mouth, and we will get that reading done for you.
What's wrong?
Just a mechanical misalignment, but it doesn't appear that we will be able to get you a reading today. Do you think maybe you can come back tomorrow and we can get it done then?
I think so. I'm sorry about your machine. I hope it isn't serious.
I'm sure it isn't. But, if you wouldn't mind, why don't you just stay and chat for a bit?
I have a doctor's appointment at noon, so
Dr. Pinero, Mr. Bill Smith just called. He wants to set up a second appointment. I told him that you were fully booked this week, but he said it was urgent.
Angela, cancel all of my appointments.
Doc, you have a full day. You can't just...
So, did I tell you about my time in the carnival? So if you've ever wondered how to escape from a South American prison camp, now you know. And that reminds me, down in Tierra del Fuego, there was this
Doctor,
man.
it's 11:45. I've got to go.
Wait. I really have to tell you about this man.
Doctor, I really have to go. You can tell me the rest tomorrow.
Tomorrow? There won't be time tomorrow.
Well, you don't have time today either. Your secretary has called 5 times.
Can't you spare me just a few more minutes?
I can't today, Doctor. Somebody's waiting for me. I have to go.
It's 6:10 and you're listening to KDWK. Here's some breaking news. A runaway driver killed 2 pedestrians on Pine Street just 15 minutes ago. One of the victims was identified as 24-year-old Betty Hartley. Police Chief Roy Donaldson tells us the other victim...
You have business with me, yes?
Decent people. I've had enough of your damn nonsense.
And so
by court order, we have death predictions for 15 members of this academy. Dr. Van Reinschmidt, will you hand me today's envelopes? Quiet, gentlemen. We just got word that Dr. Hugo Pinero was found dead in his home under 10 minutes ago and his machine destroyed. With that, we'll read his first predictions. Dr. Van Reinschmidt.
Read Dr. Pinero's letter first. His letter is in there. I have seen it.
Dr. Hugo Pinero will die at 6:13 p.m. today. What are you doing?
My prediction, it's in here. We're all in here.